Talk, tick, tock. Hey everyone. Well, today marks 20 months sober for me. So first off, I want to say thanks for checking out the video. Secondly, I always said that I would make this kind of video, kind of like explain what I do on YouTube. Like after the channel's already gotten a little bit of traction and like has like its own growth, because I didn't want to do a video like this for like, like pity subscribers or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe it was just the wrong way to think about things. Maybe I should have shared sooner. Maybe this is oversharing. I really don't know, but I just kind of figured that I would sit down and I would explain to everyone why it is what I do on YouTube. So, for the better part of 20 years, I drank very heavily. My drink of choice was beer. That didn't mean I would never have any of the hard stuff, but the hard stuff was blackout juice for me. I was honestly, one time I was doing a trip in Europe, and we were flying from England to Poland, and we were drinking some of the heavy stuff on the plane, and I honestly don't remember going through customs, picking up my baggage. None of it. None of it. None of it. Somehow I did it, but I don't remember any of it, right? Because one moment we're on the plane, the next moment I'm in my cousin's car traveling to his house, so it's kind of like, it's just absolutely wild, right? But yeah, so that's like 20 years of my life, basically, kind of like in a nutshell, right? So July 8th of 2024, friend calls me up in the evening, and it's like, do you want to go to a karaoke bar? And I'm just like, bro, it has the word bar in it. Like, yeah, like you have to even ask, right? So, yeah. So we go out and we have a couple of drinks there. Well, it's a couple of drinks for my friend. For me, I had already been drinking most of the day. So it's just, it's just stacking up more and more and more right there, right? So we kind of like get done with hanging out, come home, end up going to sleep. I wake up the next morning, which is now July 9th of 2024, right? And I am super hungover. And what do you do when you're hungover? Well, you go in the fridge and you grab that beer, hair of the dog, right? So I knew that we had a lunch date, and I was kind of like waiting around for that, but now I got, I only have a couple of beers in the fridge, so I got to go out to the store and I got to grab a couple more, and then, so I have one more, two more, three more, four more, five more as I'm waiting for friend. And, I'm just realizing this is a little bit more difficult to talk about than I thought it was going to be, but I'm going to get through this. All right. So just bear with me here, because I'm just like my breathing has changed, my respiration has changed and all that. It's just kind of like, anxiety runs in my family. And so I actually take medication for anxiety, right? So I have anxiety. I haven't had an anxiety attack like in a long time, like a full blown one. But where was I? So I'm waiting for my friend to get here, so that way we can go to lunch and everything like that, right? So I've already drank probably about 5 or 6 beers. We get to lunch, drink a couple more. We get to friend's house. We, drank on the way there, drank there. As we were hanging out, we decided to watch a movie, drank some more during the movie, and then it was just kind of like we hung out for a couple of hours after the movie, and so drank after the movie, and now it's just closing in on, I don't even know what time, let's just say midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Friend drops me off at home, pick up some more beer on the way home, and just continue to drink, right? And it was, if you're picking up on the math here, I'm already about like 12, 13, or 14 hours into drinking throughout this day on the second like heavily hungover day that I have, right? And so I am just at home alone, completely just sloshed, kind of bored, and there was, for like a brief second or two, like let me clarify that I'm generally a happy person. It's not like I don't get sad. We all do, But I'm generally a happy person. But for like a fleeting 1 or 2 seconds, I had this thought that, it might be better if I just wasn't here, right? And that freaked me out, like hardcore. And it freaked me out to the point where the weapon that I have at home, I actually disassembled the entire thing and I put different parts of it, in different portions of my place. Because then if I actually went through with the thought, then it would have had to have been an ultimately conscious decision rather than a fleeting drunk thought, you know? I called up my friend and we stayed on the phone for quite a while, just trying to like calm me down. And eventually I did end up falling asleep the next day. I woke up, which was July 10th of 2024. And I called up my mom and I said that I'm going to come over and I'm going to stay for a few days. She asked what happened. I basically told her. I didn't really go into specifics because I knew that the specifics would just freak her out, just that much more. But I did tell her what happened, so, I ended up going to mom's, and that first day that I was there I just slept all day. Just slept and slept and slept and slept and slept and slept. Woke up the next day and just kind of like, I went out for my morning walk and just kind of like stayed in bed. I didn't really sleep, but I just pretty much kind of like laid there just watching TV. Occasionally I'd pop out to go have a cigarette and everything like that. And so that's kind of like the way that it went. And so what was supposed to be a few days turned into basically 3 weeks, right? And during those 3 weeks, obviously, I'd come back to my place and I just kind of like check up on stuff, make sure I didn't have food that in the fridge that was going bad. So basically just put out the garbage, do what I needed to do around here. But I would only be here for like about like 10 or 15 minutes before like actually going back. I was really committed to getting sober this time. I was really, really, really was. It was at a point that I had a nightmare probably about like 5 or 6 days in where it was an extremely like lucid and vivid dream, nightmare, whatever you want to call it, right? That I was doing something on the computer, and on my desk I just had beer cans like all over the place. And so in my dream I was drunk, right? And so I was waking up at the time, and I just kind of like thought to myself like, oh man, all this time that I've been sober right now is just like just laid to waste, like all for nothing. I was very upset at myself like waking up, and then I finally opened my eyes and I realized that I was still over at my mom's. So it was kind of like a sigh of relief, but I think that was just my brain like actually telling me like we seriously need to get off of this and do something about this. So 3 weeks I stayed over at my mom's, and then I decided that it was time to come back home, and live here by myself. So that was going to be interesting. And so I came back home and I was here for about 3 days. Those 3 days were treacherous for me. Just kind of like nobody to talk to, just kind of like just sitting here, just isolated. It was crazy. And, my mom would keep on texting me and, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah. I'm fine. It's just one of those things. Ultimately I decided that I was going to go back there, and I took some more stuff with me. And what I decided that I was going to do also is that I was going to go to some meetings. And so that's exactly what I did. Went back over to mom's, kind of like unpacked my stuff, found a place to go to where they actually had some meetings. And I went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ultimately I stopped with the meetings because I felt like a complete fraud, because I didn't have some kind of Hollywood ending rock bottom story to, some of the stuff that I heard in these meetings, like my goodness, you can make movies out of them. It was just insane. As for me, I'd never been in trouble with the law. I've never been in an accident. I've never gotten into fist fights. I've never been to jail. I didn't have a DUI. It's nothing. I just like to drink. It was just that thing. You know what I mean? So I felt like a fraud. And ultimately, after about like a week and a half over at my mom's again, I decided that this was going to be something that I really need to kind of like face head on by myself, and just like kind of like really just dig deep and just kind of like pull myself through it. Right. So it's exactly what the plan was. So I came home, and the way that I dealt with it was pretty much kind of like the same way that I dealt with it the first day over at my mom's place is, I would go out for my morning walk just to get some exercise in. And then from that point on, maybe I'd have breakfast, maybe I wouldn't. But most of the time, I would just kind of like melt into the couch. And I spent like probably about like 2, 3, 4 weeks like that, just kind of like, walk, couch, walk, couch, walk, couch. That's pretty much like all I was doing at that point. I wasn't really functioning, obviously. All the years had really taken its toll on me, and the isolation and that loneliness really started to sink in, because when I was drinking, I alienated my friends that didn't. So I developed a lot of drinking buddies. But funny thing happens with drinking buddies is once you decide that you get sober and you no longer want to drink, then they don't want to hang out with you either. So it's kind of like the irony of it all. You know what I mean? So now you're sober and you kind of like don't have a support system on either side, right? So that was it. Just kind of like loneliness and isolation. And one of the things that I ended up doing in the evenings was I ended up watching, a lot of YouTube. And I used to like video games a lot. I used to love video games. And, but I mean, it's hard to pay attention to a video game if you're drunk for half the day, right? So I didn't really play video games for a good long time. And one night I ended up, I ended up on YouTube as I normally would. And I saw, just really random, because I never looked up gaming stuff on YouTube in the first place, right? So really randomly, like my favorite game had popped up there, but it happened to be a remade portion of it. And like I hit on it, and it was like, okay, this has the title of the game, but this isn't the game that I remember. And I was just kind of like completely blown away by how far the games had actually come, you know what I mean? And just with the new systems that were coming out, and like the transition of how the games looked from the PS4 to the PS5. In either case, the next day I woke up, I went and I bought the PS5 and I bought the game. And then I just like really started like just investing a lot of time into it. It was great. It was something that kept my mind off the alcohol, right? And something that really, just kind of like, because you have to think about it this way. I drank for 20 years. So everything in my life became associated with alcohol. Everything kind of like became a little bit of a trigger, because it wouldn't be just the fact that I would go out and drink, like, like going to bars and everything like that, right? It'd be if I was doing chores, I was having a beer. If I was cooking, I was having a beer. If I was changing the oil in my car, I was having a beer. If I was putting together furniture, I was having a beer. If I was just relaxing, I was having a beer. Like literally everything had been a trigger. But video games weren't, for whatever reason, because like I said, I hadn't played them because it's hard to concentrate on them if you've been drinking. So I noticed one thing though. I would be gaming and I would have like an external kind of like dialogue, and just admittedly I made myself giggle a couple of times also, right? So I don't always have like gripping commentary or anything like that, uh, but just kind of like on a whim, I just decided, like, I'm going to throw some stuff up on YouTube and just kind of like see what happens with it. Because after all, like the first video that I saw for the game, right, was on YouTube. So I just kind of like figured, okay, I'll give it a shot. So, I mean, like nothing was really happening with it. I didn't really like start to take it seriously. It was just kind of like, I felt pretty much just as comfortable, kind of like sitting here, playing a video game as I did on, sitting on my couch. So most of the time I would just sit on the couch and play the game, in front of a big screen and everything like that, right? So, funny thing though, February starts rolling around and the game in question had a sequel coming out to it. A lot of you know it. I don't know if I can actually say it or not, but so for the month of February, I decided that I was going to live stream every night, and I was going to go through all the different older games in the series and just kind of like play those leading up to the release of that game. And it turns out that I really, really, really like to live stream, you know? And it's a funny thing too, is because even if I never check like during the time that I'm streaming if I have anybody watching or not, you know what I mean? It's kind of like after everything's like kind of like said and done and over with. If, I'll take a look and see if anybody watched or not, and it would be like one or two people. Then it was like 7 and 9. I had like 48, then 160. And it was just like, it was cool, So, ultimately, got a little sidetracked here. I really didn't want to do any edits or anything like that, any cuts, but I just kind of like got sidetracked with my thoughts and everything like that, right? So in either case, I just kept streaming just because I liked it so much, and I actually do enjoy it still to this point. And with the plan already in place to make this video, if there was any kind of channel growth, I wanted to reach out and say something important, is that I understand what you're going through. Okay, if you're watching this video with the title and the thumbnail in it, then obviously you're going through something similar. And sometimes it's just nice to hear a voice that understands you. And maybe it's just nice to hear a voice overall that may have been in your situation. Maybe you're done with that situation. Maybe you're done with that life. Maybe you are just starting to go through it. In whichever case, I just wanted to let you know that you are not alone in life. You're not alone in general. And just keep up with it, because ultimately, even though it's a struggle, it is worth it. The decisions that I make as a sober person are just like far outweigh the decisions that I ever made when I was intoxicated, right? So, with that said, that's why I do what I do on YouTube. And that's how gaming actually helps me stay sober. And so if you ever want to stop by and hang out, again, just to hear a voice that knows what you're going through, or maybe you want to come hang out and chat, maybe you need to chat, then I do stream most nights, more likely than not every night, just because I used to drink every night. So why not stream every night, right? But if you ever need to just reach out to somebody and just say, hey, and just have somebody say, hey, back to you, then pop on by. If this video has helped you in any way, or you like it in some way, shape, or form, then do hit the like button. This does help reach other people. And barring that, I hope to see you sometime. Otherwise, have a fantastic day, and whatever you're going through in life, once again, just remember that you are not alone, and I wish you absolutely nothing but the best. Thank you for listening. See you later.